Now I'm honored to welcome the 34th New Jersey Secretary of State, Tahesha Way, to the Weehawken Township School District. We're thrilled that the Secretary came here today from Trenton and will be helping us with our continuation of celebration of Black History Month. Secretary Way will be spending time with our 7th and 8th grade students, as you're here, in our media center. The event will be featured on our social media for the district after today. In addition, Ms. Way will then be leaving here and reading to our Daniel Webster students. Secretary Way was an administrative law judge for the state of New Jersey for 5 years before being appointed by the Governor, Phil Murphy, to the position of Secretary of State. In appointing Way, Governor Murphy charged her to stand up for the rights of New Jersey voters against voter oppression. In accepting the position, Way said she would make democracy real for all residents of New Jersey through maintaining and strengthening voting rights. As Secretary of State, one of the only 2 offices required by the state constitution, Ms. Way also oversees tourism, historic, and cultural commissions. Governor Murphy described Way as a leader who respects the vast cultures which make our state a melting pot. We are honored to have you here today, and we're excited for our time together.
Thank you all. And how are we feeling, Weehawken High School 7th and 8th graders? This is just the 7th graders. 7th. All right. How are you feeling today? Good. All right. I am the Secretary of State, and my role and responsibilities were just outlined to you. And I really see it as an honor and privilege to serve as the 34th Secretary of State for New Jersey. We are celebrating Black History Month, and for me, Black History Month, founded by Carter G. Woodson, we all know this, right? Okay. So, for me, Black History Month is understanding African American history, looking at the various individuals, events, and components to serve as an inspiration to us all in moving society forward. I stand here as Secretary of State, and I honestly, my 7th grade friends, and I tell my 4 daughters this all of the time, I would not have gotten to where I am if it were not because of those who fought so hard for equality and justice for all. I grew up in the Bronx, New York, inner city, and I never could imagine being that little girl from the Bronx that I could stand here as your Secretary of State, nor could I even believe at that time that even before I became Secretary of State, that I would go on to an Ivy League college, that I would go on to a top 10 law school nationally, that I then would go on to be an elected official in New Jersey and also a state judge. So what I say to you is, find, not only during this month, a valuable person from Black history. For me, when we were downstairs, there was Thurgood Marshall, that everyone recognizes as one of the first. But for me, in the Bronx, I looked upon a woman named Jane Boleyn, who was the first African-American female judge in the country. And in New Jersey, I look upon 2 specific historical figures that may not be so known to all, and I'm going to let my friends know who I actually admire, and one of which I actually got the privilege to meet. The first is a man named Thomas Mundy Peterson. You learned that I oversee elections. That's the majority of my portfolio, ensuring democracy, the right to vote, protecting everyone's access to the ballot box. Thomas Mundy Peterson was the first African American under the new Constitution to vote. And he was from Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Secondly, it's not all about going to the ballot box to vote. There are different ways we can satisfy our civic responsibility, which we all should do. And one way is serving as a poll worker. So I got the privilege to meet the longest serving poll worker, not only in this great state of New Jersey, but throughout this country. She served consecutively in Princeton as a poll worker for 79 years. Her name is Laura Wooten. So if you ever get the chance to research and engage in just those three individuals, I think that it's significant and I think that it is important. Now, before we begin with our mock election, I like to be interactive with students. I know I was a student, okay, just 2 years ago. I was a student. I graduated from college 2 years ago. Y'all didn't get that, right? All right. We in, you know, we're not there, Secretary, but I say I like to interact with you. And I want to hear from you first, why you think Black History Month is important. I gave my reason, and at least one of two or two of you, could you kindly just state why it's important to you? Who would like to be brave, my family?
Maybe because we get to get their point of view on how segregation kind of, how it made them feel.
Exactly. And I forget to note this because this was one of the most meaningful experiences in my life. As secretary, I feel blessed because I come across all different individuals who bring such wealth to our state and of course our country. And when I was in DC at my National Association of Secretaries Conference, I actually got to meet 4 of the Little Rock Nine. Has anyone ever heard of the Little Rock Nine?
I believe so many people who went to, like the first people who went to schools that were actually segregated.
Excellent. Excellent, my friend. And just to be in their presence, because you could see just from the pictures, historically, how brave, as students, they had to be to stand up. And I'll always remember a simple phrase that Miss Beals said when the question was asked, what was your incentive in doing this? And in response to that, she just said simply, we did something. And those 3 simple words should be somewhat of a catalyst for each of us, no matter what you so decide to do. And even as 7th graders, 8th graders, I am of the belief that we all can do something to better the lives of others in some form or fashion. So who else would want to give the secretary a reason why they feel Black History Month is significant? Anyone in the back who's brave? Okay, so let me shift it. Can someone tell me someone they admire from Black history? I like this front table. I like this front table. Because normally the front table is the one like, we'll sit in the front and we're not going to answer. Go ahead. Frederick Douglass. And why do you admire Frederick Douglass? Did anyone hear that? You know, through his, and I admired him too, reading his book, the critical thinking that he had to advance an argument as to why slaves are equal. Come on, stand up here. Okay. She's sitting down, but she gonna stand up and say this, because I'm gonna sit down and let you, you know, we'll stand together. Go ahead.
In one of his speeches, he asked a question saying if he actually has to show why people should be treated equally, because he knows that everyone knows why they're really wrong. So he asked the same question. He says, here's the reason, do I have to explain to you why people should be treated equally? And one thing he says that when animals rise up against humans, then he will admit that African Americans should be slaves. And then he will say, okay, you're right. Animals can rise up against us. You can rise up against us, and I guess we're actually better. But he says that since that never happened, and we know doing this is terrible, that we should stop, we should think about others before thinking about others.
You know, if there was a microphone, it would be a mic drop right there. Okay? Mic drop. And I'm not saying what career path you should go, but please think about the law, okay? Please think about the law. And I can actually say my college daughter actually wrote about Frederick Douglass, and she probably would have needed you to, you know, somewhat assist her in her essay, okay? So that is what fascinated me, of not only about him, but about you, is that he could advance an argument using a parallel situation in hopes that people could see that if animals, correct, can be utilized as a platform to advance equality in humanity, then why can't slaves be seen in the same light? Excellent. One more. Okay, my friend. We got someone from the back.
One of my figures is Kobe Bryant. He really changed the game of basketball.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, yes, he did. And little hidden secret about the secretary. You bring up sports. My husband had played for the New York Football Giants, and so the one thing that I am aware of, because I think oftentimes everyone sees just athletes on the court, on like the ice rink, or on the stadium. But the one thing that others, and I think that's what you, my friend, recognize, is that athletes really can show us all an idea, or be inspiring, if you will, to also better folks' lives through various community causes that they take upon, which they do, and social issues. And that is why it's good that we have, you know, the social activists, the athletic role models, the celebrity role models, actors, actresses. But I also think that some of the more, I want to say, tangible, if you will, Black history role models in our lives are always going to be our parents. I'm pro-parent here, because remember I got 4 girls, and of course, guardians. I bring that up, and this is the last thing I promise I am going to say. In Black history, she was never known except in my home. I want to say my greatest Black history role model is going to be my mom. She's no longer here. And I say this because, and I say it oftentimes to audiences, there are 2 simple words my mother always told me: recognizing that I was A, African American, B, a woman. She would always just tell me, Tahesha, that's not the word, but the two words are, be present. And I'm hoping that, and I see it in you all, I know we just met 10, 15 minutes ago. That's all right, but you were present, okay? And I hope that everyone here, no matter what you're doing in life, just be present.